her. Okay, he's the. Oh, wait, what happened? Sorry.
Apologies, Guy. I realized I didn't start the recording
Okay.
as requested, so I just started the recording.
Okay, good. We are good now. Okay, Juru woman, she is now wearing her traditional attire, as you can see. And there are several names that Juru people call themselves or other people call them. The first one is Juru, and it means solidarity, river, ravine, or forest. So you can already see here that how Juru people relate themselves to the nature or the environment around them, right? And there are two different spellings, English spellings over here that you see. The first one is start with the J, J-R-O-U over here. You will see this one more on the literature. It's more common on the academic literature that talks about Juru people. But when I look into the social media that the Juru people themselves they use to spell their names, their name in English, this one is more common, the YRU. So in this research and in this presentation, I'm going to use this spelling to be the same with the local people that they use. Another name that people call them or they call themselves, sometimes it's Lawen. So you probably might heard about it, Lawen, but this one has quite a negative connotation, right? It means sinful. So last one is Su. Su means the river flows. And among these three, the first one is the most preferred one. Juru people, they have their own language. It's called Juru language. It falls under Mon Khmer language group. And next. Okay, the Juru community that I have been working with since January, it's called Nam Tang village. So they are living in Nam Tang village in Pak Song district. They are very famous for their coffee too. Most of them have coffee plantation in this village, and they have a total population of about 1,100 people. The majority of them are Juru, and then there are also small group of Tai Lao or Lao Lum ethnic group living there as well. So Lao Lum or Tai Lao, for those who are not really familiar with these, Tai Lao or Lao Lum is the majority population of Laos nationwide. Next. Okay, there are few words in local language that I will keep using throughout the presentation because I cannot find direct or comprehensive translation of these words in English just yet, right? So the first one is going to be read. So read, if you are Lao speaker, in Lao it's called heed, but in English it could mean many things in different contexts. So there could mean traditions, it could mean ceremony, it could mean rituals, morals, rules, and order. So many meanings. So, but when I use read, I will try to put the English, the closest one next to it, just to give you the context. One example of read of Europe people is this one. This is a social gathering for the wedding. This is when the community members come together and celebrate the newly wed. Here is a picture of the couple sitting in front of the elders in the community. And you probably don't see this one over here, but I attach a photo here. This is a jar of a liquor. In Lao, we call it Laohani. So it is very important elements, or it's one of the most important part for Ri. So in their ritual, they will use this jar or this Laohani in their to perform the ritual as well. You will see a clearer example in coming slides. Next word, next vocab, Numri. Numri in Lao language, it's called Huan Hi. So this is a combination between two words. Num is house and read. Again, I just explained to you, right? So by combining these two words, it could mean the closest translation would be a ritual house, where in Juru community, in Namtang village particularly, each family have their own Hyunhit or Numri. Each family have one Numri. That means one family have one ritual house. So these houses are empty. No one lives there. No one lives inside the house, because the main function of the house is to perform the ritual, to perform certain types of rite of Juru, right? And then to get a picture of where is it exactly. So in the village, there is one particular area that these Numri are located, like one in one cluster. So if you walk inside the village, there is one particular space that full of these Numri. To understand how is it important to Juru people, I borrow a framework from Professor Okre to try to understand why is it important, like what are some attachments of the people to this particular cultural space. So the first one, it has family and generational attachment to that. The picture I show you just now, where you see the ceremonial part of the wedding, right? That was the ceremonial part of it. But before that, in the morning, they will have the certain ritual that they perform in front of or at their Numri. So led by the elders and the family members, they will do it there first before moving to the ceremonial part of it. And it is also a place where they link themselves or connect themselves to their ancestor as well, because these Numri, they pass from generation to generations, right? And one note that I want to highlight here is these Numri or these houses are not meant to be reconstructed or like renovated. So you just let it naturally decay and then naturally disappear, and they will just keep it like that. They will not build the new house for their rite. And then there is another function of Numri to the Juru people, is to reconcile the family conflict. Let's say when there are a fight, especially the violent fight between a husband and wife, so it is considered wrong in their rite, right? So they have to do something about it. They have to correct the wrongdoing. So the elders will take them to the Numri, their own Numri, their own family's house, to perform a ritual and reconcile such conflict. And lastly, anything related to the family health that they want to rely on the traditional healing, traditional wisdom, or give the strength spiritually, they will do it here as well. Then the religious and cultural attachment to here, I mentioned many times that the rituals are mainly performed here, right? So many types of ritual depends on what context or what stories that you have or what problems that you will have to do differently. And in Juru language, the ritual is called Peng Ri. So Peng Ri. In Pasar Lao, it's called like Peng Heat, which is like very similar. And lastly, it's about the social attachment of the people to this particular space. As I said, that this is a group of the houses, right? So it's not only the place where the Numri are located in, but also this one. This is called Horpanam, which means the village shrine. In Pasar Lao, it's called Hor Lak Bat. So every year in March, people will start the village festival. It's a big ritual that everybody in the village will do together. And at that moment, for one day, they will close their village down and no one is allowed to come in. Like outsiders are not allowed to come in, and then the villagers are not allowed to go out. And you will see another clearer example on how this Horpanam or the shrine relate to the community health and well-being later on. So this is briefly about Juru people and Juru rite, right? Juru tradition. Then now let's move to the exciting part of the project, which is my project proposal. I will make it brief, and to summarize, It's called the Learning Space Project, and I would like to see on how like the role of education, how does it influence the health beliefs and health practices of the people in the community. And my initial motivation of doing this research was actually 2 years ago when I had my graduate studies in peace education course at the University for Peace. That was the time that I had an opportunity to critically examine our global structure, particularly our education system, that somehow it perpetuates the inequality in our society. So not that it's could solve the problem, but sometimes it is a cause of the problem itself, right? So I had to unlearn my way of thinking. I had to unlearn it. The role of education, that it's a miracle to solve any problems. That is what I believed in education back then. But then with the course, with my graduate studies, I came to this new idea that education alone actually could not really solve our global challenges because it's extremely complex, right? So only education cannot give the solution to everything. But I still have a hope on education, that, I mean, especially on its transformative role in changing people to the betterment. I still believe in that. That's why I want to do this research, but I want to know exactly on how it could do it, right? So how education could influence, or how could it lead to the behavior change, or how does it affect to the belief system of the people? When I was looking into the literature, education literatures, mainly there is a considerable international evidence that demonstrates that there is a strong linkage between education and health, which means that by having better education, you tend to have better health. Or if you are more educated, then you are healthier or have healthier lifestyles. Such causal relationship has been questioned by many scholars, including myself, because it does not adequately consider other factors, external factors. For example, the social norms or the political pressure that influence the specific action of the people. So this research project draw on interdisciplinary sustainable development literatures, and then we constructed the research into these 3 pathways. First one is political, then psychological, and the social pathway. In this particular webinar, the presentation today, I'm going to focus only on the social pathway. The 2 pathway, I haven't done it yet, so I don't have anything to share with you just yet. So the social pathway looks into the social determinants of health, and it underlies the influence of the surrounding environment and also the social factors around the community. For example, the norms or the cultural heritage that could produce specific beliefs or specific action of the people in terms of health-seeking behaviors. So the cultural heritage in this context, I refer to the ordinary heritage, or the heritage that happens in everyday life of the people. It relates to the livelihood of the people. It is about the way of living, or it's about the interaction between people in the community, or the interaction between family, and the meanings that people give to their own life, to their own lifestyle, or to their own space, right? And that is the everyday heritage. It is like happening every day at the community, in the village. So it's living thing. Unlike the heritage that we might see on like big media about like world heritage, that is not that, okay. So it's more on like the community level. And if you are familiar with the UNESCO Convention 2003, there is also this one, intangible cultural heritage, that could explain that has a similar meaning of what I am trying to refer to. So intangible cultural heritage, or ICH. In here, there are some domains that highlight the social practices, the rituals, the festival or events, traditional knowledge or practices of the people that is so important to the community members, and it should be considered as their like important cultural heritage as well. So to summarize my field research activities, here there are three. One, this is the initial plan. I have done the first one, participatory workshops, but the two other core activities, qualitative research and survey research is going to happen in coming years throughout my PhD. So I have done two workshops. We have done two workshops in Namtang village with two groups of participants. The first one is the senior participants with the age of above 40. And another group is youth participants with the age of around 18 to 25. So there are several activities happen during the workshop. So and then we collect some data about health, the concept of education and the health practices or health seeking behaviors of the people through interactive activities. I'm going to explain a little bit later. Then the methodology of this research, it's called participatory research. Why participatory research? Because I always claim myself that I'm a big fan of the bottom-up approach. I enjoy working with the community, and I always want to think that I show as much as respect to the community members who I'm working with. So I think this participatory research is the most suitable one to do it. And again, I give a credit to my peace education class that shaped the way I think or the way I see the world, because now I'm very critical in observing the power dynamics in education. And also in doing research, it's always there, like the powers between the researcher and the research communities. It's always there when we are doing research. And in our conventional way of doing research, it's there, and we don't do anything about it, right? So the researchers are regarded as experts. So we go into the community and we know pretty much everything, but then we treat the community members as a subject of our study. So I don't want to do that. I don't like that kind of idea. So that's why I try to find the more equitable approach to work with the community, and this participatory research is the most relevant one, and I like it. So I choose it to be this way. Because with this, the power relation between me and the research participants and the community members, always we have like closely examined and attempt to address it. Although we cannot get rid of it, but still we acknowledge it and try to do something about it, right? So with this research, participatory research, it treats the community members with respect. We share the power and control over the research agenda. And also we give benefits back to the community. And also lastly, we help to analyze and present the narrative of the people in the more accurate way. And the method that I particularly use during the workshop is called art-based approach, because people have many ways of expressing themselves, and they have many ways of telling stories, right? So not only the people who are talkative or people who are not shy to share their stories has valuable stories to tell, but everyone, but sometimes we are just too shy to do it. So there should be a space for people to feel safe to share that, or to do it in another interactive way. So art-based approach is one of the methods that allow us to do so. So it can create an inclusive and participatory knowledge on the topics concerned. Here are two amazing people that I want to shout out to, Dr. Marco Heschken. He is the assistant professor in global sustainable development at the University of Warwick. And another one is Professor Elizabeth Auclair. She is a senior lecturer in geography and planning at Champasak Paris University. They are my supervisors, and they are going to have to deal with me like in the whole 4 years, like incoming 4 years. So, okay, I hope it's good, all good. Okay, and then other 3 people. These people is very important to the project as well. I think they take a very active role in this research. Her name is Sai, Poten, and Te. They are the research assistants from Nam Tang village. So they are the community representative to help me to do this research. They are the one who organize the workshops, the 2 workshops that I mentioned earlier, and co-facilitate collecting data, interpreting data, and still like we have been in touch on when I try to understand or when they have something to tell me, then we exchange the calls like very frequently. And these people are the one who creates the narratives that I'm sharing with you today, right? That we are co-creating this narrative for today's presentation. Before the workshop started, we had this training session together. So that was the time that I introduced to some useful research skills to them that may be useful to do research together. And in exchange, they give the feedback to my research agenda. So we modified the agenda. We changed the date. We changed the way of telling stories. We changed the words that match or that more suitable to local context. So very fruitful and very constructive feedback and reflection from them were in our research agenda later on. Okay, then the results of our art-based approach, art-based method is our creative materials. Here it's a map. It's called Participatory Maps. There were 2 maps created. This one is from the senior participants, and another one is from the youth participants, right? I will give you just an example of this map by the senior participants. So basically, this is how the Nam Tang village looks like. The participants like started the workshop with introducing their village by using this map. So they draw the map together, put the identifying important locations of their village. For example, the village office where they have a meeting, official meeting. They also the house of the village chief over here. There is a temple over here. Numri is over here, and Horpanam is also located here. The village shrine and the ritual house all are located in here. And then this is a community health center, 1 kilometer away from the village. So these are the general map, right? There are other things like schools, the house of the deputy village chief, the house of the security. So they identify all places. And then when they will ask about where would they go if they want to get a treatment when they are not feeling well or when they are sick. So six places were identified in the map. So six places. The first one is the community health center. It's here, 1 kilometer from the village. Then Horpanam and the Numri village shrine and the ritual house. These are all here. And then also Buddhist Temple also were identified as a place where they would go when they are not feeling well, when they are sick. In addition to that, the house of the health volunteer, the drugstore and private clinic were also identified as places they would go. So the results of the map, by using this participatory mapping, it reaffirms that the research participants will take more active role in produce analyze and present their knowledge on the subject concerned. Another activity that we have is role play. So by doing role play, each participants were assigned to have different roles. For example, the village chief, the village doctor, the villagers who is sick, or the young children who don't want to get vaccinated. So there are different roles, right? And then they were given different scenarios to act on it. For example, what would they do if they are not feeling well, when they are sick? What would they do? And who would they consult if someone don't want to get the COVID vaccine? Because we also have the scenario related to COVID as well during that time. And in this particular example, the still image, I took it from the role play that were talking about Peng Ri. It's a ritual to correct something wrong to their body. So in this particular role play, this young lady, she was not feeling well, and she went to the health center. The doctor could not diagnose what's happening with her body. So she suggested her to come back to just rest at home. But then after a few days, she still could not fully recovered. That's why she went to consult with the elders in the community. And the elders suggest that perhaps the lake or the river, some unseen thing from the lake or the river touches your body. So that's why it caused you such feeling such a bad feeling or feeling unwell. So what the elders suggested her to do is to go to see fortune teller, because the elders in the community could not tell what is happening in her body. So they just make the prediction. They just make some guesses, but they cannot be certain. So only fortune teller would be able to tell what is happening with her body. So they suggested her to go to fortune teller and then come back to the elders, because the elders will be the one who help her to perform a ritual at her Numri, at her ritual house, right? So she will come back to them, and they will help her later on. So that is the procedure of Peng Ri in general, briefly. So we get an idea of that already. Now, I put another map here. This is a map from the research assistants, because I wanted to put it here because with this map, when the research participants during the training, they created this map, although it's not like it doesn't contain like many buildings or big more information, much information like to other maps, but it contains the location of the house of the fortune teller, the fortune teller's house, which is 10 kilometers away from their village. They don't have fortune teller in their village. So if they want to know what is happening to the body, they would go to another village to see fortune teller here, and then they come back, right? So I just want to highlight that the more maps that we create, the more information that we could get from the participant without asking like them like many questions. So it just appear here. They just identify it here when we were asking about the location where people would get the treatment. So the research assistants themselves identified it by themselves. So yeah, that is the benefits of using the map, the participatory maps, and it's also fun too. Now let's move to the topic of health and well-being. How you read relates or to the health and well-being. There are two parts. The first part, I would focus on the community level, right? So how read relate to the community health and well-being? So I hope you still remember this picture. This is a picture of the Horpanam or Hor Lakban, or the village shrine, right? So anything that has to do with the village, has to be done at the community level. It has to be here. Any rituals has to be done here by everyone. So the read in this context, I would refer to rules and order, because in Namtang village, there are certain rules that you are not allowed to do. For example, rice milling before 6 a.m. is not allowed. Cooling down the house or any constructions at the house is not allowed. No, any construction in the village is at night is not allowed. And making loud noise before 6 a.m. is also not allowed. And shooting gun in the village is not allowed, and other rules. So read in this context means rules that people have to comply with. And what would happen if one person, any individual or a group of people violate these rules? So by violating these rules, it's quite obvious, right? Because you will make certain noise. For example, shooting gun, everybody will know that you shoot gun in the village. And then when such incident happens, the elders would suggest it to do a ritual at the community level, and they will do it here. They will perform the ritual here. They will perform pengri over here. So what would happen if they don't do it? So what would happen if they don't do it? So they will, if they don't conduct the pengri, right? There will be fever, illness, unusual things, injuries, death, loss, or any bad phenomena that happen in the community, not only to the person who violated these rules, but to many people in the community as well. So that's why they have to do it together at the community at the community level. So this is how read and social well-being is defined here in this context, right? And another example, another case is at the individual level. It's at the individual level. As I mentioned earlier, if something happened at individual level, you do it at your own Numri, at your own ritual house. You don't do it in the Horpanam, right? So in this story that you will hear, this is a conversation between me and Mae is mother in Laos. So I had she is a participant to the workshop, and I had a conversation with her after that, because she told me quite a lot of stories about her treatment journey, right? She was saying that she has been feeling unwell for 3 years, and she has been going back and forth between her house and hospital many times during these 3 years, but she could not get fully recovered. A lot of money was spent, but still she still cannot be fully recovered. And then I was asking her what how does the read plays a role in such treatment journey, in her treatment journey. And let's listen together, and I think you will understand a little bit more. So let me try.
ตอนที่จบเจ็บเจ้าโซ่เป็นอย่างขนาดใช้บาทเขามันกับมีเหลืองหีดเหลืองยังเขากับโบเด็ไปเบิ่งบอกว่ามันเจ็บเป็นเนี่ยหลอกหย่อนหีดหย่อนคอแม่เคยบอกชื่อลูกฟังว่าโดยเขาไปโรงหมอหรือว่าหลังจากโรงหมอเขาไปเศร้าก็ไปสู่รถน้ำยังแต่เขาบอกว่าจำเป็นที่หาอันทางมาหีดคอเขาชื่อโยจะบอกให้ฟังเลี้ยงบ่ได้หนะเลี้ยงบ่ได้จำเป็นแต่หีดคอก็บ่ได้เฮ็ดลายดอกมีแต่ว่าคันเขาเฮ็ดอันเราพวกนึงแต่มันเป็นหีดนะกับไก่ในเขาเลี้ยงคุณพ่อคุณแม่มัดขนาดเราเฮ็ดอันนั้นเขายังบ่สมัครอยากเฮ็ดนะคันว่าเขาละได้แต่แท้เขาต้องเฮ็ดคันบ่จำเป็นบ่ได้เฮ็ดอยู่เฮือนหีดอยู่เฮือนโตอยู่ลุ่มพุ่นบ่เฮ็ดอยู่นี่เฮือนหีดเฮาก็เอาอะไรงานไหนในซับดินเฮ็ดเป็นเฮือนหั่นนะแต่ว่าเฮาเฮ็ดแก้ไขซื่อๆนะบ่
ห้ามที่บอกเฮาเอ็ดผู้เฒ่าผู้แก่บอกเขาฮู้อันนี้เฮาว่าตัวนี้นี่บ่แม่นสิว่าเฮ็ดเลี้ยงแนวอื่นเฮาเลี้ยงพ่อเลี้ยงแม่เฮาคือแม่เคยบอกลูกแล้วแม่เมื่อยแห้งแม่เป็นแห้งกลางคืนก็เลยบ้าซะให้พ่อแม่ตายหันมาซอยเอาคนเฮานะให้เฮาอยู่หลอดปลอดภัยแล้วเฮาจึงไปโรงพยาบาลหันนะตัวนี้แล้วโดยเฮาป้าหันนะโดยก็บ่ว่าเพิ่นสิเฮ็ดให้เฮาดีก็บ่ว่าว่าก็สิก็บ่ประมาทว่าให้เพิ่นซอยบ่ให้เฮามาเขาไปโรงพยาบาลอีสังบ่ดีเฮาไปวัดไปว่าบ่ดีแล้วเฮาจึงแก้ไขตัวนี้โดยแบบว่าไปวัดไปว่าเฮาก็บ่ไปคันว่าเฮาเศร้าหั่นนะแม่เห็นอันสักโหลดมีแต่หลังจากสักวัคซีนนี่แม่เห็นแม่โดยอันแล้วโดยมีอีหยังเพิ่มเติมได้ได้แล้วขอบใจหลายๆเด้อแม่เด้อ
Okay. So that is just a part of the conversation that I had with her. So I think I hope that it could give you a clearer picture of how he plays role in the treatment journey of the people in the community. Of course, people have different stories to tell. This is just one example from May, right? So one thing that I want to highlight in the conversation is that although she said that I don't want to do it, but still it is necessary for her to do it. That kind of saying occurs many times during the workshops, right? Not only from her, but many people say that, yeah, I don't want to perform read, but still it is necessary. My family want me to do it, so I want to do it. I have to do it. So still it's necessary for them to do it. And then another point is when she mentioned the Buddhist temple, right? Because in Juru village, in Namtang village, the Buddhism coexists with Ri recently, right? And it recently increasingly influence the beliefs and behaviors of the community members, especially among the young generation. So if we ask them, they would say that I do both. I do Buddhist practices, and I also practice Ri. And they would like the younger they are, they would only mention about the Buddhist instead of the Ri. So when we were having the conversation during the workshop, we were asking about the source of information, source of health information. Where would you get, where do you get the information to take care of your health? People mentioned that they have it from the clinic, they have it from the health center, they have it from the village volunteer. But two young participants actually mentioned the Buddhist temple. So one person said that during the almsgiving, the monks would edify about doing good things, and they told us not to drink alcohol during the festival, and we should take care of our health. And another person, he said that the ways I took care of myself was based on the Buddha's teaching, meditation, and the 5 precepts of Buddhism. So for the young people, they kind of see temples as the place that they can get the health advice or health related practices from health related information from. If we look back into the maps, again, the participatory maps, right? Here is the picture of the temple from the senior map, and this one is from youth map. When we were asking them, okay, put the orange stickers on the place that you would go to get the treatment when you are not feeling well. The first question. And then they put the orange sticker on temples, both groups, they put it there. But then when it comes to the village shrine, the Horpanam and Numri, only the seniors participants put the stickers here. We cannot see the sticker from the young participant here. That means that could imply that they don't come to get the treatment over here. But then another question was asked that where where is the place that you consider as the most respected place in the village, or where is the place that people obey, right? So you put the red color dots on that. So both groups identify this particular space, Horpanam and Numri. So both of them put it here. So this kind of maps, we can see that the young generation, the younger generation, they although they believe that the tradition is the place where they should respect, but it does not necessarily involve in their treatment journey or treatments or like health practices, unlike in temples, right? So in temples, they also come to the temples here. And this is the maps. These are the maps of the health center. So you can see that orange stickers are put it here, in both maps, right? So the modern medication for the formal health providers are the first option that all participants choose to go when they are not feeling well. For example, the village health volunteer, because it's near 1 kilometer away from the village, right? Also the village health volunteer, the house of the village health volunteer also is an important place for people to get medical advice or the basic medical advice or the assistance. Other than that, there are also drugstore, private clinic, the house of the doctor. Sometimes they call the doctor to come to their own house because there is a house of the doctor in the village as well. And for those who have more money, they would go to Pak Song District Hospital or even the provincial hospital, which is 50 kilo. I think it's around 70 kilometers away from their village. So to see how the traditions coexist with the modern way of healing, modern way of treatments in Juruk community, in Namtang community, I use these two quotes to summarize it. One participant said that he refers to the authority, told us that it is important to preserve our heritage. It should not be abandoned, but practice less when it comes to health-related practices. So anything related to read should not be the first priority to get the treatment from. So you should consult with the medical doctor. And then you rely on your beliefs and your tradition after that, right? And then another person said that personally, I don't trust other ways, but read is necessary because my family wants me to do it. Personally, I only trust doctor. Again, this kind of saying happens all the time that although the individual doesn't want to do it, but it is still necessary for them to do it. So yeah, that is pretty much about my project, the insights from my project. It's a preliminary phase. To conclude, I would say that the cultural heritage or the Yuri plays quite significant roles, to promote the family values and to strengthen social cohesion and define the relationship between people in the community and between people and the space. But it also helps in shaping the certain beliefs and certain behaviors of the villagers as well. Of course, the more research on how heritage and well-being are related should be more further studies, and that is the plan that I'm going to do it throughout my PhD thesis. But I think this one is a good starting point for me to get the general idea of what is happening in the community. And I hope that if you contribute later on, contribute to some valuable knowledge, responding to some of our sustainability challenges, particularly on the topic of the health and well-being, and also education. I don't mention education much on this part because it's not really relevant to the topic today. So I hope to do it later on, next time if we have opportunity. And participatory research, I would say that it's very challenging to do it because, again, the reality that we have different resources, we have different capacities, and we have different times to do research. Although I want to do it, but then I have to rely on the community representatives and community members, rely on their time. We have to reschedule all the time. And we have to be very flexible to do it. And it is impossible to get rid of the power relations, power dynamics when doing research. But it is also important that we have to reflect it all the time, and that trying to minimize it, have an open conversation with the community members. So at the end, still, despite all the challenges, I would say that the community members take more active role in co-facilitating, collecting, and also creating the narratives of the health beliefs and behaviors of their own community. And I'm talking about this and sharing with you now today. So yeah, I talk a lot. I think it's more than 40 minutes. I practice it. It should be 40 minutes, but I'm sorry, but I take more time. I would like to acknowledge all the parties who make this project happen, particularly the University of Warwick, the Institute of Advanced Study, GRP Connecting Cultures, and Institutional Research Support Fund, who give us funding to do this research since January. And then IRD, sorry, Eric, if I cannot say it correctly in French, Institut de Recherche pour le Développement, and the One Health project under IRD. IRD is very kind to me that they allow me to be the collaborative researcher doing this research in January. And then Utopia University, who give me a scholarship to do my PhD in the next 4 years in Churchill Paris University and also in Warwick. And last but not least, TAEC, who give me space to talk today. Thank you very much, especially Tara, who has been working with me tirelessly. So yeah, thank you very much. And here are my, it doesn't move. Okay, references that I have in here. And I welcome all the thoughts, comments, and questions from you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Guy. Fascinating talk. It went quickly, even though it was longer than what we practiced. But I think we have no problem with that. We are now coming to the end of our period, but I think we can take 10 minutes or so to answer some questions, because we have some great questions here. And of course, we understand if people have to drop off for any reason. One quick thing I just wanted to mention before people might have to disappear is, Guy, this is the start of research you mentioned early on in your talk. So you will have several phases of your research. So you've completed one phase. Could you maybe just let us know quickly how long you anticipate this project going for, this research? And also maybe mention where people could get further information about this project in the future if they're interested.
Sure. This is going to be a part of my PhD thesis, right? So I have 4 years to go. I will develop more by using this data that I have right now and develop the further research. So I think in coming years, in the second year of my research, I would be able to come back to do more research in the field works, I mean, in Laos. But then if you want to follow what's going on with the research, I think I'm going to establish to create a page soon to display all the process of the project. And also I think we are going to have the online exhibition as well as one of the art-based approach, right? So you can follow, I think now with TAEC first, but then we will try to communicate by our own web page if in the near future once it's ready. So I'm happy to share with you all. Yeah,
Great, thank you. So I'm sure, of course, if we can develop an online exhibition or further resources, we'll of course post it on TAEC's page. And if you establish your own website, then of course we can provide a link to that for people. Okay, let me just get to some of these questions then quickly. First question, how did you encourage villagers to join the activities, Guy? Because we do know that a lot of times when asking community members to take time out of their day, their schedules, their farming routine, it can be difficult to motivate and encourage people. Did you have difficulties with that, and how did you manage that?
Yeah, that is a good question, and that's how challenge of participatory approach is. So before I start to work with the research assistant, actually I made a visit to the village for I think at least 3 times to go back and forth having consultation with them. Like the first consultation would just get general idea of the village, and then the second time we asked the community, the village committee to help to identify who would want to help to do the research. Then the 3 people became our research assistants. And then after that, I went back to the community again, and then they introduced me to the places, right? And many things, and the trainings, the workshop. And even when we are ready to do the workshop, we encounter that we have to delay it many times because the time of the participants are not the same. So I think we postponed it. But by having the assistant from the research assistants, they are the one who select the community members. So they actually have their own connection with the people already. So I was just asking them, could you help to select the people who might be interested to join our workshop, and they just do it. So the list of the participants, we have 10 from the youth, and we have 12 from the seniors, so 22. So all of them are identified by the village assistants. So they will be they take the role in going to their houses and asking if they want to come. So yeah, but before that happens, there is a lot of consultation. Like we have to change the schedule, we have to change the agenda a lot of time. But it's good that I can be flexible, because I was alone in the community, so I don't have to have this like pressure to finish it like the deadline of doing it. So I think the flexibility is also a key to work with the community in this context. Yeah. I hope that answer the question.
Yeah, so using flexibility, working closely with village resource people who are really the internal connection to the community members can really ensure that then people, you're working on other people's schedules as well. Another question related to that is, is about the participatory action research. Particularly critical orientations of participatory action research aim to provide direct benefits to the research participants. Is that a part of your planned approach? And then related to that, another question was, have some of the results of this research that have been co-produced with the community being shared, and is it useful to them in some way, or do you plan that it'll be useful to them in the future? So really about the benefits to the community.
So right now, to be honest, I'm still at the stage of participatory research, not yet move into the action part. Later on, I think that is something that I want to modify or develop my thesis into that direction, which is going to involve the action. So now it's just participatory research for me for this project, but in the future it's going to be participatory action research, but using the same approach, participatory approach, but just to add the action component into it. Yeah, totally. It is about a plan, but then we have to work closely with the community on what kind of action that we want to take, right? Because it's not my job or it should not be my job to say that, oh, let's produce this action. We have to do another consultation and see what kind of action that the village community themselves would see as a benefits out of this project. So we have to do another consultation part. We have to identify it, map it, and plan it later on. So yeah, so is that, I think that was just the first part of the question, right? There is another.
Yes, I mean, they were related to one another, I think, though they're asked by two different people. Just, you know, will it provide direct benefits to the community members? How are these results potentially being shared and could be useful to the community members in the future? Yeah.
Okay.
Another question was asked about the arts-based research methods. So what were some of your experience with moving to arts-based methods? Did you gain fundamentally different insights, or was it difficult for you to implement?
Yeah, I would say that it's mixed. It's still challenging to do it. I would give an example of with the youth participants. Actually, they are very shy to talk about to act, you know, to perform in front of other people. So the role play between the young people, like with the young participants, are quite dry, and then it didn't go well as I anticipated. You know, I thought it would be fun, people would laugh, but it's not always as we planned, right? But on the other hand, when I did it with the senior participants, they actually they are really, really good, probably because they have more life experience to talk and to share. And then there are some encouragements of the people who doesn't want to participate in the beginning. So I think that is kind of like interactive and fun activity could calm people down, and then don't feel like it's formal. It's like I'm coming here to get information with you, but it's more in the fun, interactive way, because it's about the process, right? I'm going to work with the community, and this one, although we don't get like as much as insights, like more insights from the young participants, but again, it's already creates a certain relationship, like it's established a certain relationship between me and them already, because it's fun, relaxing, and then they don't see me as a lecturer, or they don't see as a doctor going inside the village. Because most of the time when we do research on public health, although you are a researcher, people would address you as doctor all the time, right? Oh, doctor is coming, doctor is coming. But the point is, we try to break that kind of the feeling, break that kind of like power relations between people.
That paradigm.
Yeah.
Dynamic. Sure. Okay. There's many questions here. I'm not sure if we can get to all of them. I would also suggest we can also save them, and you could contact people by email if needed.
Yes.
One, maybe, do you have time for one or two more brief questions?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Another question was about, do you plan to interview all the healers in that community to look from that perspective?
The healers?
Yes, so healers from the health center, district hospital, various doctors who might be part of the healing or health process.
To be very honest with you, I that was not a part of our initial plan to do it, but yeah, that could be very short, but it's not a part of our initial plan just yet. But maybe if we can see the benefits of doing that, perhaps we can include that into our future activities as well.
And somebody else also asked about whether they had herb doctors, or I guess traditional medicine healers in the community related to their own treatment system.
Yes, I think they identify one place in the community, but when we ask them to put the stickers, you know, not many people put it there. It's quite, I don't know why, but maybe, but it's good that it appears on the map, but it doesn't show like colorful stickers on that particular place, so it might not be as important as people like we think there. But during the discussion, they use the traditional medicines. They use the herbal medicines, in their treatment as well. But probably the doctor in the village is not the one who is famous for, so that's why they don't go there. Yeah.
Sure. And maybe I'll just ask this one last question. You presented 3 stages in your approach. So after participatory research stage, there's a qualitative and then survey. Are you planning to address different questions at these other stages, or is it just an expansion of the questions, original questions?
Yeah, because if you could remember the 3 pathways, right? About the political pathway and the psychological pathway. That phase is the plan is to look into those pathways by using survey and using another qualitative methods to do it. For example, to see how education has psychological effects on behaviors of the people, there is a concept of the cognitive learning that I'm going to interview the teachers and interview the students and then do the class observation. So there are more and more activities are coming in that 2 phases in coming years. Yeah.
And sorry, one other question that I thought might be interesting as well was about digital penetration. So one person was asking, as you've spent time in the community research recently, I'm wondering if there's any sign of digital penetration or the rising trend of technology that could perhaps shape how the community perceives health and maybe affect their choices.
They haven't mentioned it during our workshop just yet, but I from my own observation, this village is it's not too far from the main road, and the main road, I mean like the good main road, right? So it's considering in that areas, this village is quite developed. So they have the health center within like 1 kilometer away, and people have the phone, they use social media, and yeah, the young people, at least from what I see, they all have their mobile phones, but it's just not something that they mentioned that related to their health just yet. When we have this peace circle, it's called peace circle, where we share the stories about where would you get it. They don't mention it, like they just mentioned in the traditional medias, for example, the poster on the health center, that kind of thing. But they haven't, I think they haven't really thought about it just yet. I mean, like in coming activities, we can investigate on that part as well. Yeah.
Okay, I think we'll end things here. I do invite people to check back on TAEC's Facebook page. We can try to answer some of these questions perhaps together, Guy, and post some of them there, or get in contact with you if people are particularly interested. Any last comments or thoughts you'd like to share, Guy, before we say goodnight?
I would just have to say thank you to all of you to come and share and discuss with us today, and thank you TAEC to organize this, and I hope we can do more in the future, more maybe online exhibition and maybe another webinar. So I hope that we can keep this collaboration, and thank you everyone to join us today. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. This has been great, Guy. Thank you also for spending your time and preparing this. This was excellent.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.